Good evening. And fuck you too. Ladies and gentlemen, a very long time ago in a public house in St. Martin's Lane in the City of London, a young man got rather drunk and began dribbling on about his ideas. The idea in particular he was going on about that night was that acid house music was the first working-class youth culture music since Elvis Presley. He was totally right, of course, the Beatles being irredeemably middle class and the glories of punk being really rather down to art school and the secondary icon being a diplomat's son. And if acid house was indeed the first working-class music for a very long time, would it not have a lot in common with brass band music? Okay, you'd have thought his friends would have said, go away, but they didn't. They encouraged him, and this young man, Jeremy Deller, was encouraged to see if this idea would work. He approached a composer and conductor, very celebrated for brass bands, called Rodney Newton, and a band called the Williams Fairy Band from Heaton Moor in Stockport in the north of England. The best brass band in the fucking country. They put together a repertoire of 7 numbers. Songs by a guy called Gerald and 808 State from my own area, songs by Derek May and Marshall Jefferson, and the entire thing debuted at Lipper, the former grammar school that the bloody Beatles went to in Liverpool this spring. And 30 seconds into the first number, Can You Dance by DJ Fast Eddie, it was clear that Mr. Deller and the Williams Fairy Band's experiment worked. There followed a concert at the QEH here in London, which was sold out and was fantastic. They went and played Tribal Gathering. It was great, and a great performance at Edinburgh. It is the most marvelous piece of musical experimentation. And it's experimentation which revolves in the brain. And the experiment began to revolve in other brains, in the brains of Jimmy Cauty and Bill Drummond. It also began to involve inexorably with the class connection, because believe it or not, folks, class does exist in the minds of the Liverpool Dockers movement, fighting against a really shitty management. And so, the experiment continues and evolves until we get to this point tonight, September the 17th, the Barbican Centre in London. And you have been invited to leave this shitty century in the company of the Williams Fairy Band and friends.